It's Motivation Monday, a new week, a fresh start and another opportunity to level up. This is your moment to reset your mindset, refocus your energy, and realign with your purpose. Whatever didn't work last week, that's done. Today you move differently, stronger, smarter, more disciplined, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, consistency, and showing up when it's hard. No excuses, no distractions, just elevation. The grind starts now, the discipline kicks in today. And the results, that's on you. Every move you make this week is building something bigger. So set the tone today, or spend the rest of the week trying to catch up. Because every Monday is a chance to rewrite your story, to step into a new version of yourself. This isn't just another week. This is your rebirth, Motivation Monday, powered by the Final Boss.
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast. Motivation Monday! Woo-hoo! Man, I got a great show for you guys tonight, man. I have a great show for you guys tonight, man. You know, this is the ugly truth, man. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the ugly truth. And you know what? That's what we do in this show, man. We talk about the things that are uncomfortable. And one of those things that are uncomfortable, we're going to talk about comfort and how comfort is the enemy of growth, right? Comfort is the enemy of growth. And, you know, it's a matter of perspective. And we're going to get into that perspective, man. This is episode number 261 of Motivation Monday, man. But before we get into the show, I need each and every last single one of you to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't, don't gatekeep, man. Don't gatekeep. And as always, no matter where you're watching from, or viewing, or listening to, greeting of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is the greeting of the day. And as always, it is for entertainment purposes only. Entertainment purposes only. Where's my wand? Let me get my wand, right? Entertainment purposes only. And tonight, man, we're going to be diving deep. It's Motivation Monday. We're going to get aboard the fired up train. We're going to get aboard the fired up train, man. And we're going to be talking about building ugly, or don't build at all, right? Build ugly or don't build at all, right? So that's what we're going to be discussing, and we're going to get right into it. But before we do, make sure if you have not, go get All Aboard the Fired Up Train. That's book one of the Go Time series, All Aboard the Fired Up Train. It's the first book in a series of 3. And book 2 is coming out. I'm getting ready to sign a contract. I'm getting ready to sign a contract for book 2. I just got it today, man. Book 2 will be out very soon. Very soon. Look for it. It's coming out when? Guess when? It is coming out this July, man. It's coming out this July. So Go Time 2 is coming out and is dropping next month, right? Next month, which is in a few weeks. So Go Time 2, be on the lookout for it. If you haven't gotten Go Time 1, All Aboard the Fired Up Train, make sure you go pick that up, man, because Go Time 2 is coming. And you're going to need to have, if you get 2, you're going to have to get 1. That's how I wrote them, right? That's how I wrote them. You're going to need to get Go Time 1 and understand Go Time 2. And then Go Time 3 will be coming out sometime later on this year, right? Later on this year. So before we get into tonight's contact, man, make sure you do that. And if you haven't seen our episodes, man, go to our website. Check out our website at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com to watch each and every last single one of all of our episodes, man. Go watch all of them. All of the episodes are out there on our website at that's the email. I'm sorry. www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. And if you haven't already, go shoot us an email. What's up, Kwong? I see you. Appreciate you for joining us. Shoot us an email if you would like your questions or be a part of the segment, especially the town hall segment. If you like the questions and be a part of the town hall segment, send us an email at info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. Info, that's INFO at thefinalbosspodcast.com. And we will get you on board with the town hall, man. We might have a town hall this Thursday, so be on the lookout for that, man. That's our admin notes of the evening. Now let's get into the business. Let's get into the business. Let's get rid of the banners, man, so you guys can see me, right? So you can see me. And we are ready to go, right? Let's get on board the fired up train, man, because tonight is Motivation Monday, and this is what we do, man. This is season 4, the rebirth, arc 4, the construction, right? And tonight we're going to start off with our brass tacks of the evening. The brass tacks of the evening comes from none other than yours truly. And tonight's brass tack is the finished building honors the ugly foundation. The ugly foundation does not apologize for not being the finished building yet. And that's our brass tacks of the evening, man. And look, let me ask you something, right? Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at something you were building, right? Talking about your life, talking about you're reconstructing your body, you're building your life, renewing, you're building your relationships, you're building or fostering whatever you're doing. Have you ever looked at what you were building and felt embarrassed by how it looked? Sit with that, right? Sit with that, right? And maybe you thought, maybe I thought this, I didn't think this out. Maybe I started too soon. Maybe you should have waited until you had more resources. Maybe you should have thought that you needed more time or more clarity, or maybe you should have waited until it looked better before you told anybody about it, or you showed it to anybody, or anybody saw it, right? And here's the question I need you to sit with, right? And I'm not going to answer this question until later on, right? I'm gonna let you guys ponder on this, right? What if the mess is not the mistake, right? What if the ugly is the load bearing, right? Look, those are your questions. I need you to sit with those tonight, right? And this, if for those who are just joining us, this is the Final Boss podcast. I am the Final Boss, and it is Motivation Monday, season 4, the rebirth, arc for the construction, episode number 261. And tonight I'm going to be dropping something on you that changes how you look at everything you're currently in the middle of, right? Tonight's title, Build Ugly or Don't Build at All, right? Build ugly or don't build at all, right? And before this night is over, man, I'm going to need you to understand why the people who are waiting for things to look right are actually the ones falling behind, right? The beautiful version is a lie until the ugly version is real. That is the hard truth, man. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, man. And to my smarts, who are the thinkers who analyze everything before they move, to my final bosses who are carrying the big weight and the big version, to my motivators who are still pushing when the tank is running low, and to my warriors who have bled in the middle of something nobody else could see. All of you, right? All of you. This one is for all of you. And of course, there's a cost confession, right? And so here's the cost confession. I want to tell you something, right? Something real before we get into it, right? Because I've delayed things that have cost me a mild fortune, right? Not because I was not ready, but because I was waiting for it to look a certain way. Like I was ready for it to look ready, right? That wait costs real time, real money, real momentum, and you can't get it back, right? And I'm going to be putting that on a number tonight, right? That delay cost me no less than 18 months of compound growth. Do you know what 18 months is? Right? 18 months, man. That is not a metaphor. That is the building that could have been standing by now, right? And we're going to talk about it tonight. So stay with me. Let's get right into it, right? First destination, man. First destination for the fired up train, man. Fired up train is Arc for the construction zone, man. Act like it. You need to act like this is a construction, right? And to everyone that is joining us, everybody that's in here, man, let's see who's in here before we get into it. Okay, Margot, I see you, Margot. Margot's in the building. What up, what up, what up? We got Logue Toaster. I see you, I see you. Margot, Logue Toaster, Chakande, man. We got some Dave's in the building. Steve 9654. Ving is in the building. Kwong is in the building. I see everybody's in here, man. Look. Let me orient this for you, right? Let me orient this for you. This is so people who are just now joining, so they can understand. Because season 4 is called The Rebirth for a reason. It's not decoration. And this is a filter in everything this season runs through, right? Arc 1 was the ignition. Arc 2 was the foundation. Arc 3 was the elevation. And right now, right here, Arc 4, the construction, is where episode 261, and we are building something in real time, man. Real time, right here on this channel, right here on this network, man. Because construction isn't pretty. It isn't pretty. Look at me. I got a white tee on. Ain't nothing pretty about no white tee, right? Except for maybe my muscles, right? Maybe my muscles. But look, you go drive past whatever it is, and you keep going. Right? Because the active job site is not pretty. And you say to yourself, what am I looking at? Right? And then all you see is dirt. You see rebar. You see maybe a slab of foundation that's being laid, right? And then the rebar sticking out of the concrete. And you see the plywood that's everywhere, and tarps and orange cones and the mud. And you don't see the finished building yet. But the building is still happening every single day, whether it looks like progress or not. The building is going up, man, and that's what we're doing with your life. We're building that life that you want to build, right? That life that you deserve, that life that you know that you put in the time, effort, money, resources, you name it, you are putting into it. You are building, but it looks ugly, and everybody who's looking at you, they can't see it, right? They can't see it. When you first hit the gym and you trying to lose 70 pounds and you weigh 370 pounds, it's going to look ugly. But by the time you finish, you're going to be sculpted into a marvel, right? That's what we're in, man. We're in the construction, right? And this is where my fighter bosses and my warriors are right now, right? You're on a job site. And one of the most dangerous lies that you can get into your head during the construction is that it should look different. It should look different, right? It should look cleaner. It should look more put together. That other people's buildings look better than yours, but that other people's buildings are finished, right? You're doing the comparison trap and looking at other people's buildings where your building just started and other people's are finished, right? And let me tell you this. You're not seeing their job site. You didn't see the job site. You see the finished product, right? You're seeing the finished lobby. The comparison is not real. So stop putting yourself in a comparison trap, right? It is a lie. It is a lie. Your doubt constructed to make you stop building, right? The rebirth is a lens. And when you look at your current season, right? Yours, right? Through that lens, the ugly does not mean broken. The ugly means alive. Things that are not alive do not change, right? Things that are being built do not have exposed wires. The mess of evidence of movement. The rough edges are evidence of growth. You are not behind. You are in the construction phase of what you're building when it comes to self, right? So, Arc 4 runs through episode 270. We're almost done the construction. Then we're going into the declaration, right? We're in the construction, right? We got 9 more episodes in construction. And we are knee deep in it at the end, right? So keep your hard hats on and do not confuse the job site for the finished structure, man. Let's go. All right, man. What's up? Let's get on to the next destination, right? The next destination is, what does it mean to build ugly? I know. Y'all like, what is he talking about? Final boss, man, what are you talking about, right? Well, let me define this so nobody misunderstands what I'm saying tonight, right? Because building ugly does not mean building carelessly. It does not mean sloppy work or low standards or cutting corners. That is not the doctrine here, right? Building ugly means building before it looks impressive, before it means laying the foundation before the paint and before you paint the walls, right? It means recording the podcast before you even have the studio. It means launching the business before the website is perfect. It means writing the book before you even have the publisher. It means putting down the content before you have the audience, right? Building ugly is the willingness to be seen until the mid-process, right? It is the courage to show work that is not finished. It is the discipline to keep stacking when nothing visible is happening yet. Because here's what most people do not understand about construction. The most critical structural work is invisible. Yep. It's invisible, people. It's invisible, right? The plumbing is inside the wall. The electrical is behind the drywall. The rebar is inside the concrete. You cannot see the most important parts of the real structure, right? And for my smart people who understand this on a technical level, the infrastructure that makes everything else possible is never the thing that gets photographed, right? It's never the thing that gets applauded at the ribbon cutting. But remove it, and the whole thing collapses. The whole building falls, right? So when I say build ugly, I mean doing the invisible work with the same intensity you give to the visible work, right? I mean stay on the job site when nobody's watching, and I mean pour the foundation even when the weather is bad and nobody drove by to acknowledge the pour, right? Now, we've talked about these things before, right? But this is almost at the end of the construction season, so we have to go a little deeper into it, right? So building ugly is a professional behavior disguised as a mess. It is the sovereign move that looks like chaos from the outside and looks like architecture from the inside. Good people, listen to me. Smarts, motivators, warriors, final bosses. Look, next destination, man. Next destination is waiting for us, right? And we're going to talk about what pretty costs, right? We're going to be talking about what pretty costs, right? So I told you earlier that waiting costs me 18 months. Now, let's go deeper on that, right? When I built the first version of certain things in my life, I held back from releasing them because they didn't feel entirely ready, right? They were not polished. The language wasn't tight enough. The branding was not locked in. The numbers were not where I wanted them to be. And I held on. I refined. I adjusted. And I waited. And while I waited, the window moved. The market shifted. The moment passed. The people who needed what I had went somewhere else or found somebody else who was willing to show up ugly and serve them while I was still in the mirror fixing my stash. Right? Fixing my stash. But the real cost of waiting was waiting for perfect. It's not just the time you lose, right? It's the compound effect of the thing you could have learned if you had released it earlier, right? Every piece of feedback you did not get because you did not ship. Every community member who did not find you because you were not visible yet. Every connection that did not happen because you were still in preparation mode, right? Motivators, I need you to hear this, right? There's no skill you develop in preparation that matches the skill you develop in deployment, right? Preparation has a ceiling. Deployment has no ceiling. You stop learning at some point in the planning room. You never stop learning in the field, right? The construction zone teaches you things the blueprint cannot. The job site reveals problems the architect never anticipated. You find out where the ground is soft only after you break it. You found out where the wall wants to crack after you start building. The cost of ugly phase is low. The cost of missing the ugly phase is everything you were supposed to become on the other side of it, right? So, and let's get on board the next destination of the fired up train, right? I hope y'all still with me. Stay with me, right? And I want you to know something. Fired up train, right? Next destination. Real builders don't wait for an applause. Real builders don't wait for an applause, right? Warriors, this is for you, right? You know what it's like to operate in conditions where nobody is watching, where nobody is clapping, where the work is happening in the mud and the dark and the cold, and nobody has sent you a thank you note. You understand better than anybody in this room what it means to build without recognition, right? Where my warriors at? Where my veterans at? Where my soldiers at? Let me drop an emoji right now, man, to the veterans, right? To the soldiers, man, to my active duty service members, man. If you are any of those categories, man, you are one of the warriors, right? Now, this is sovereign territory specifically for them, right? Because that is where character gets constructed, not in the press conference, not in the highlight reel, in the training session at 5 a.m. or 0:30 that nobody's filming, in the 3-hour prep session that never made the agenda, in the sacrifice and that never made the announcement, right? The warrior knows something the civilian doesn't. Ugly conditions produce unbreakable builders. The ones who have never been in a different construction environment can't understand why someone keep going when nothing looks good yet, right? They look at the job site and see disorder. Trust me, man, every deployment I've been on, you get there and it looks disorderly, right? Especially early on in these conflicts and wars, man. I'm telling you, it looks like, where am I, right? The warrior looks at the same site and sees sequence, right? Step 1 before step 2. Foundation before frame. Frame before wall, wall before paint. And this is not chaos. This is construction in its truest form. And I'm here to tell you the uncomfortable verdict, right? Because I'm dropping this segment and I need you to write this down, right? The people who only show up when it looks good are not builders, right? And if they only showing up when it looks good, they're not a part of your team. They don't deserve to be on your job site. They don't deserve to be getting a paycheck, right? They are the decorators. Call them in when it's time to decorate, right? Decorators also have value. So yeah, call them, right? But decorators do not construct, right? They arrive after the real work is done and they make it look nice. They make it look fine, and that's all they do. But do not confuse that for building, right? You're not here to decorate. You are here to build, and building requires you to be present during the ugly phase, not after it, right? So, right, not after it, but during it. So we're gonna stay on the same fired up train, man, and we're gonna move slightly up the track to the principle at the center, and we're gonna unpack that, right? Because we talked about the brass tacks this earlier, right? We talked about the brass tacks, and tonight the brass tacks was the finished building honors the ugly foundation. The ugly foundation does not apologize for not being the finished building yet, right? Now let's unpack that, right? Because there's a lot in there, right? Every word of that, we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna bring it together in full doctrine, right? We're gonna bring it to full doctrine, right? Because the finished building honors the ugly foundation. That means when you get to the other side of this season, when the structure is standing and people are walking through it and taking pictures and posting it on their pages, every single beautiful thing they see will be standing on the ugly work that you did, right? The polished floor is sitting on the poured concrete. The clean walls are covering the rough studs. The beautiful lobby is standing on top of the foundation nobody would ever get to see, right? And the finished building does not erase the ugly phase. It celebrates it, and it celebrates it silently. Every single day it stands. It is a monument, to the work nobody photographed, right? And then there's a second part to that. There's a second half of that, right? The ugly foundation does not apologize. That is the part I need my final bosses to lock in tonight, right? You do not need anyone or owe anyone an apology for being in the mid-process, right? You're not required to explain why your structure is incomplete. You're not obligated to justify the state of your construction zone to people who have not committed to building anything that you're trying to build. The foundation does its job, right? The foundation is what holds the weight. The foundation makes everything that comes next possible, and it does all of it without a ribbon cutting, without champagne bottles, without a celebration, without a press release, and without a standing ovation. Do the foundation work. Let me structure what rises from it and be the only statement you ever need to make, right? That's the only statement you need even to make. Now, let's get on board to the next destination, right? All aboard the fired up train. Sydney, I see you, baby. My man Sydney's in the building. I see you. Next destination, my good people, right? How a final boss builds. That's where we're headed, right? And to my final boss, I need you to carry a standard that most people never sign up for, right? And tonight, I want to articulate exactly what that standard looks like when you apply it to the construction, right? A final boss builds with intention, even when the outcome is not visible yet, right? You heard me, right? You do not need to see the finished product to believe in the quality of the work you are doing right now, right? You have standards for the invisible phase. You care about the wiring inside the wall, even though nobody else will ever see it. Nobody will ever see it, right? You pour the concrete at the right ratio, even though it is going underground. You build the thing correctly because correct is the standard, and it doesn't deserve an applause, but we're going to give it an applause, right? This is what you're doing. You're building you, right? Yes, you. You are in the construction phase, and you are building yourself brick by brick, layer by layer, slab by slab, rebar by rebar, stud by stud, wall by what? Wall by wall. You are building, and what you're building is building self. You're building a business. You're building whatever you're building, right? This is the mid phase, and all my final bosses knows this, right? Because final bosses build with a timeline, right? Understand this. They build a timeline, and that other people can't read that timeline, right? You are nobody else's timeline, but yours, because you're the builder. You are the boss, right? You're not on anyone else's construction schedule, right? You're not obligated to be finished by the time someone else thinks you should be done. The final boss knows how long the project actually takes because the final boss designed the blueprint, and you, my friends, are not behind. Keep building, right? You are on sovereign time, right? And final bosses, I need y'all to understand this. Final bosses build in community, not in isolation, right? And that is a critical piece that gets missed, right? And to my smarts, you guys bring the intelligence to the build. My motivators bring the energy when the job site feels impossible. And to my warriors, they bring the durability, right? The final bosses bring the vision and the standard, and every one of those roles matters during the construction, right? You cannot build a structure with one type of worker. You need all four, right? And listen, final bosses don't stop building because someone pointed at the job site and called it a mess. Someone who has never built anything will always confuse construction for destruction. Baby, I'm on fire tonight. Listen to me. I'm on fire tonight. They will always confuse construction for destruction, man. Listen, they see the tear down and miss the build up. Let them point. Let them see. I need you to keep building. All right, man. All right, let's go. Fired up train. Smarts, warriors, motivators, final bosses. Let's go. Next destination. You are waiting on something that was never coming. That's the next destination, right? And here's a pattern I've watched slow down my smarts, right? Smart, capable, talented people across every field. They're waiting for permission to start building. They're waiting for someone to tell them they are ready. They are waiting for the conditions to align. They are waiting for the resources to arrive. They are waiting for the right moment. But let me tell you this, and I need to say this with clarity, so please understand what I'm about to say, right? This permission was never coming. The permission was never coming, people. It was never coming. The right moment was never arriving. The perfect conditions do not exist on any construction calendar in the history of build, right? Every structure that stands right now was started under imperfect conditions by someone who decided to move without permission, right? Every business that is generating revenue was launched before it was ready by someone who decided the motion was better than waiting. Every book that exists was written before the author felt qualified by someone who decided that their voice was needed right now. The construction does not begin when the conditions are perfect. The conditions get better because construction began. That is the sequence most people have reversed in their minds. They think you wait for the good conditions and then you build, but the good conditions are produced by the act of the building. The momentum creates the clarity. The motion produces the resources. The building attracts the builders, right? Listen, my smarts, I need y'all to hear this, right? I know you understand system smarts. You hear, and you're here, and because you're here, is a system truth, right? A system that does not optimize itself before it runs. It optimizes through running. You have to start the process to improve the process. I'm going to say that again. You have to start the process before you can improve the said process. You cannot improve a process that has not been started, right? So stop waiting for the green light. The light changes when you start moving. And speaking of moving, man, let's get on board, back on the board, the fired up train, man, because we are going to our next destination. Our next destination is, what if the mess is the method? Right? What if the mess is the method? And it is going to get answered, man, because I asked you that question at the top of the series, at the top of the question, at the top of the episode, right? And I asked you to sit with that question, right? And I told you I wasn't going to answer it until later on. And here's later on, right? What if the mess is the method? Because it is. Because it is, right? And that's the answer, full stop. I wish I had a flag. I got a red. Oh, there we go. Oh, pink flag. Red flag on the plate, right? That is the answer, full stop, right? Full stop. The mess is not a side effect of real construction. The mess is a part of the method, this disruption, the disorder, the exposed infrastructure, the incomplete sections, the work and progress markers, all of it, right? And those are not signs that something is going wrong. They are signs that something real is happening, right? Think about what happens when a job site looks too clean. It means nobody's working, right? It means that nobody's working. A perfectly clean construction site is either not started or not moving. The mess is the evidence of active work. The mess is the proof that something is being assembled, right? And when your life is in a messy phase, when your business is in a messy phase, when your creative work is in a messy phase, when you are just starting to work out and your body is in a messy phase and you got stuff moving where it shouldn't be moving, it's in a messy phase, right? That's not your failure showing up, people. That is your construction showing, right? Those are two completely different things, and the difference is everything, right? Your failure is when you stop building because the site got messy. Your construction is the site being messy because you're building, right? One of those leads to a structure. The other one leads to an empty lot, right? And a lot of those empty lots turn into parking lots. And what happens on parking lots? You already know. So, motivators, hear me out. I need you to carry this one out for me in the room tonight, right? Drop it in the chat, right? Drop the fist emoji in the chat if you're a motivator, right? When you go back to your people, right? When someone points at your job site and asks why it looks that way, you have an answer now, right? Because you tell them, I am building, right? That's what you tell them. Because mess is a part of the method. Because the foundation is going in and it does not need to be photographed, right? And that is the method. The mess is the method, right? So, next destination. And look, it's Motivation Monday. If you're not familiar, Motivation Monday is where we are on aboard the fired up train, right? And the next destination is, I need you to understand, their lobby is not their job site, right? Because as you're scrolling, as you're watching other people, as they're posting, you are seeing their finished lobbies. You're seeing the clean branding. You're seeing the polished presentation. You're seeing the confident announcement. You're seeing the highlight reels. And you are looking at your own job site and you're comparing. You're looking at the mud. You're looking at the rebar. You're looking at the unfinished walls. And you're making a comparison that does not exist. And you're caught in the comparison trap. And I'm telling you, you need to stop comparing, right? You are comparing your construction to their completed structure. The comparison is fraudulent. It is not based in reality. And you do not know what their job site looked like. You did not see that version of the very thing before it was ready, right? You did not witness their ugly phase. You only arrived after the ribbon cutting, right? And because you only see the finished building, your brain generates a false story, right? They skipped the ugly phase. That's what you say. Oh, man, that's perfect. She's perfect. He's perfect. Car's perfect. Look at that beautiful life. You don't see what it took to get there, right? And because of that, it looks easier to you. It looks like it was easily done. And that they had more resources, more support, more luck, right? Maybe some of that is true. Or maybe not. It might be true for some people. But the building is still standing because the foundation was still poured. There was still a construction phase. You just don't get to see it, or you didn't see it. So stop measuring your job site against everyone else's, right? Measure your job site against your own blueprints, right? Are you moving? Are you pouring? Are you framing? Are you making progress against your own plan, right? That is the only measurement that matters during the construction, right? And to my final bosses, do not compete with other people's timelines. They execute against their own blueprint, and the blueprint is yours. Nobody else has the same structure to build. Stop using someone else's floor plan as a benchmark, right? Stop doing that, good people. Stop doing that. Smart, final bosses, warriors. Drop a train emoji in the chat if this is resonating with you, right? Drop a train emoji in the chat right now if this resonates with you, right? Because guess what? We're all aboard. We're all aboard. We're going to the next destination, right? And the next destination is, what are you refusing to start because it looks like this, right? And this part right here is about intervention, right? And I need you to do some work right now, right? As a part of this intervention. Because in your head or in your notes or on your phone, what have you, I want you to identify the thing that you've been delaying because it does not look ready yet. Go ahead. Go ahead, make a note, make some notation, right? The thing that you've been polishing for two, add that too, right? If you got something that you've been polishing, you've been waiting for it to be perfect, I need you to put that in there too, right? And all of this is about delay, because you think it's not ready yet, right? The thing you've been polishing for too long, you think it's not ready yet. The project that has been in draft mode for months because you think it's not ready yet. The business that's still in the planning phase because you don't think it's ready yet. The content that you've been trying to post because you don't think it's ready yet, right? Or the conversation that you need to be having with a loved one or somebody because you don't think it is ready yet, right? The chapters you have not written, the application that you have not submitted, all because you think it's not ready yet, right? I need you to name it, right? I need you to put a real name on that specific thing, and it doesn't have to be your business or your goals, but I need you to name it, right? Because a vague delay is still delay. And delay during construction season is the one thing ARC4 does not have room for, right? Now, ask yourself something honest, man. I need y'all to be honest. I need you to be honest. And some of you guys don't like being honest, right? Ask yourself, is it not ready? Or does it just look not ready, right? Because those are two different things. Right? Not ready means something genuinely incomplete must be resolved before it can function. Right? Does not look ready is an aesthetic objection, a visual complaint about something that is structurally sound. Right? And most of the time, the honest answer is the second one. Look at you. I see y'all laughing. Look, I see you laughing in the chat, man. Look, I'm telling the truth, right? You know I'm telling the truth. You know it, right? It doesn't look ready, which means it is ready, which means the only thing standing between you and the next level is your own discomfort with being seen in the mid-process, right? Smarts, I need you guys to do the honest inventory. I need you to do the honest inventory. Be rigorous about it, right? If the foundation is paused and the frame is up, you don't need to wait for the paint to open the building, right? You can do business in a structure that isn't finished yet. Many great things were built inside buildings that were still under construction. I need you to build it. I need you to open it. And I need you to let the refinement happen with the people inside of it, right? Now, next destination. Sovereignty is built in the ugly phase. Sovereignty is built in the ugly phase. That's the next destination on the board, the fired up train, right? Because sovereignty is not a destination, man. Sovereignty is not a destination. It is something that gets constructed, and the construction of sovereignty does not happen during the easy seasons. It does not happen when everything is aligned and clean and running smoothly. Sovereignty gets built in the ugly phase, right? Every time you stayed in the work when it was not working, every time you kept the standard when the conditions were substandard, every time you showed up to the job site when the weather was wrong and the materials were late and nobody sent encouragement, those were the moments your sovereignty was going up, brick by brick, layer by layer, rebar by rebar, concrete laid by concrete laid, pour by pour, in the ugly. Right? In the ugly. So the 5 systems of sovereignty are not theoretical frameworks. They are construction blueprints, and every system gets tested during the ugly phase, right? Your mental sovereignty gets tested when the project is unclear. Your financial sovereignty gets tested when the resources are tight. Your relational sovereignty gets tested when the people around you cannot see what you're building yet. Your physical sovereignty gets tested when the work is demanding more than you thought you had to give, right? Your creative sovereignty gets tested when the output does not match the vision yet. Every system is under pressure every system being built in real time. That is Arc 4. That is the construction, and that is where you find out how sovereign you actually are. T-Biscuit, this message is for you, T-Biscuit. How sovereign are you? The construction is happening. You see it. You see it. And to my warriors, yes, I love T-Biscuit. She knows who she is. My warriors know this already. You've been through conditions that built things in you that cannot be purchased or taught in a classroom. That is sovereign construction. That is the ugly phase producing the unbreakable structure, right? The sovereignty is being built right now in the mess, in the middle, in the places that does not photograph well. It is happening. It's happening. It is happening, right? Keep going. Keep going. That's the message. Keep going, people. Keep going. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All aboard the fired up train. Hey, ticket. I need my conductor. Conductor, hold up. Don't go yet. I got my guy going around picking up tickets. Give me a second. All right, ticket man. You got the tickets? All right, let's go. Next destination. Nobody builds alone and survives, right? Nobody builds alone and survives. So, construction, believe it or not, it's a team effort, right? And this is not a motivational statement, right? When have you gone to a construction site and you saw one person doing all the work, right? The same thing goes for you, right? This is engineering, and it's an engineering reality. No single human being builds a structure of significance by themselves. You are included in that, right? The architecture requires collaboration. The construction requires community. I built this particular network with the truth at the center of it, right? Final Boss family, Final Boss nation, Final Boss community, right? All four pillars: smarts, warriors, motivators, and final bosses, right? All four pillars, all four communities. Each one doing something that others cannot fully do on their own, right? And to my smarts who bring the analysis, right? They're the engineers on the job site. They look at the blueprint and find the calculation errors before they become and see the structural problems, right? They ask the questions that need to be asked before the seatman drives. They are not being difficult. They are being precise, and precision is a construction requirement, right? To my final bosses who hold the vision when the site looks like nothing is happening, right? They have the capacity to look at a hole in the ground and see the building that is going in that particular hole. They see the vision during the ugly phase at the leadership function, right? And without it, the crew loses direction, right? And to my motivators, right? My motivators keep the energy alive on the days when the work is grinding and the progress is invisible, and when the weather isn't right, right? When there's pouring down, rain, freezing cold temperatures, they're the ones that's bringing the motivation. And motivation isn't soft. Motivation is fuel, right? And fuel is valuable, right? Construction stops without fuel. The motivators on the job site are keeping people moving when their body and mind are both telling them to stop, right? My warriors bring the durability, right? They could be in a difficult phase longer than anyone else because they've trained for endurance. They did not fold when the conditions turn, and they've been trained by the conditions harder than anyone else, right? This is your community. This is your crew, and this is the construction team that builds the final boss structure. None of you are unnecessary. All four of you are load-bearing and very necessary, right? So, we got about 10 minutes left, right? So, if you're feeling this, go ahead and drop, man. Drop, man. Drop and give me 10, right? Go ahead and drop and give me 10. I'll give you a couple more. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do it, right? Drop and give me 10, right? I'm serious. Give me 10 push-ups right now, right? Full-grown adult push-ups, man. Go ahead and knock those push-ups out. I need you to do this for me, man, because We got big things going. I need you to build that strength. You can't be weak in the construction. I need you to be building, right? Because the next destination, right? The next destination is what gets built in the ugly last, right? And we're going to need that to go into the declaration. And we're going to need that to go into the next season, which is season 5, the harvest. Man, we're going to start collecting in the harvest, man. It's happening. Watch what I'm telling you, man. The harvest is on its way. And next destination, all aboard the fired up train. Yeah, we're getting ugly. We're getting ugly before we close, right? And I want you to understand something about the physics of construction before we close tonight, right? The structures built quickly under perfect conditions are not the structures that last. The cathedrals are still standing centuries later. Were not built under ideal conditions. They were built by hand and weather over decades by people who would never see the finished building in their lifetime, right? But they built it anyway, and it's still standing, right? The things you're building right now, in the mess, in the middle, with the resources you have, in the time that's available, right? With the community that showed up to support. Those things have the potential to last. Not because of the conditions you had, but because of the integrity you brought to the process, regardless of the conditions, right? What gets built in the ugly lasts because ugly conditions require real solutions. You cannot fake your way through a difficult construction environment. The corner cuts show up immediately. The weak foundations crack under the fresh pressure. The rush frames fall when the storm comes, but the structure built carefully in the hard conditions, that's the one that stands, right? That's the one that stands. And my fighter bosses, you guys are building things right now that your children will inherit. Their grandchildren will inherit. The structure you're putting up in the ugly phase is not temporary. It is not a draft. It is the real thing being built in real time under real conditions. Do not let anyone convince you that because it looks rough right now, it's not the real thing. It is exactly the real thing. And the real thing, built right, built in the ugly, built with integrity, that is what gets handed down. That is what outlasts you. That is legacy under the construction, right? Now, before we go, how much time we got? Oh, we got about 8 minutes left. Okay. All right. We got about 8 minutes left. Before we as we're closing, man, let me know in the chat right now if you're building something, right? Let me know in the chat if you're building something, right? Steve, I know what you're building. You're always here, right? Chikandi, what you building? You getting ready to start working on that second book? Let me see what you're working on, Chikandi. And Kwong, what you working on, right? Let me see who else we got. Hey, Erica, what you working on? Look, man, drop in the chat what you working on, right? Beauty Science, what you working on? Congrats to you earlier. I saw what you posted, man. Congrats. Zishan dash underscore 264, what you working on? Shivu, Raka, what you working on, man? Drop it in the chat, man. Drop in the chat what you working on, right? And let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it before we close out, man. And it's equally important, man, that you guys be here, right, for the rest of the season, for the rest of these episodes, man, before we go into Arc 5, the declaration. Big things are coming, man. Big things are coming. I can't tell you enough. Big things are coming. And, I'm super excited. I need you guys to make sure you tune in tomorrow for Tech Tuesdays, right, with the sensei, and then be here for Merger. You guys are missing out on Merger, man. I'm dropping major tech gems on Merger Wednesdays, man. It's all doctoral information, but I have a layman's block for every single doctoral segment. I have a layman's block, right? Bringing it to you so you can have equal understanding, right? We do that on Merger, right? And I need you to what time is it? Okay, all right. We're gonna end on time tonight. We're gonna end on time tonight, right? Which is rare. We rarely end on time, man. I'm hot. Ooh, boy, I'm on fire. Oh man, listen. Whew, man. I'm gonna research something real quick before before I want to present something to you guys before we close out. I got 5 minutes, right? And change it. We're going to talk about change and what's coming. We're going to change it to let's see. So three shows that are carrying over to season 5 are being reworked as we speak, reworked and renamed, right? Shout out to my graphics guy, man. Shout out to my graphics guy, Alan over at Gambino Graphics. He's keeping me fresh with all the new graphics. And look, big things are coming, man. Big things are coming. And I want you all guys to be a part of all of it. And I'm super excited, man. I'm so excited, right? Ooh, the harvest, man. The harvest is going to be different. Harvest is going to be different, man. And you know, man, the harvest is going to be different, right? It just is. So stay tuned for the harvest, right? But I want you to know, we talked about building ugly, right? We talked about building ugly and being in the mid phase of what it looks like, right? And I said in the beginning, you either build ugly or don't build at all, right? And that wasn't that's not a challenge. That is the only door that leads to the finished building, right? And there's no alternate route that bypasses the ugly phase. There's no shortcut from the blueprint to the ribbon cutting, right? The ugly phase is not optional. It is not a phase for weak people. It is not a phase for people who are not serious, right? We talked about being serious last night. It is the mandatory middle that every real structure passes through. And if you aren't willing to build ugly, you're not building. You're planning to build. You're imagining to build. You're talking about the build, but you're not building, right? Because tonight, I'm calling all of you out, right? Smarts, final bosses, motivators, warriors. I'm calling you all out to something specific. Not a general commitment to grinding, not a vague intention to work harder, but something a little bit more specific. And it's one thing. And this one thing we talked about earlier, right? And that is the thing you're going to start building tomorrow. Not when it looks ready, not when the conditions align, not when the resources are perfect, but tomorrow. I need you to build it ugly, incomplete, mid process, visible, real, and be in it with intent, right? Listen, this is season 4 of the rebirth arc for the construction, episode 261. I am the Final Boss. This has been the Final Boss podcast, reminding you that the sovereign does not wait for the lobby to be finished before they start doing the work that needs to be done inside it. I need you to build a thing. I need you to be okay with letting it be ugly, letting it be seen, and letting it grow into what it was always supposed to become. The Final Boss, or Final Bosses, don't decorate. The Final Bosses build. And each layer of the last one of you are still Final Bosses. So go build. Go build. That's our show for tonight, man. That is our show. Thank you for joining. This has been episode number 261. Thank you. If this resonates with you, man, share it with at least 3 people. Like, share, subscribe, right? And as always, if I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That is our show tonight, man. Everybody, get off my train. Get off of my train. The fired up train is leaving the building, is leaving the station. We are out of here. Get off my train. Get off my train. And as always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but there's an even heavier pain that comes with regret. I am here. We are here. I am here. We are here. Get off of my train. Be balanced, be equal, and be smart. Y'all have a great night. I will see you again tomorrow night for Tech Tuesdays. Goodbye.